Welcome back. Well, it is day 10 of the government shutdown. Democrats and Republicans remain locked in a stalemate over how to reopen this government as another round of votes failed on the Senate floor yesterday. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, meanwhile, is suggesting that his party is exactly where it wants to be, telling Punchbowl News yesterday that, quote, every day gets better for us as the shutdown continues. The top Democrat doubling down on his remarks on the Senate floor yesterday. Watch.
Each day, our case to fix health care and end the shutdown gets better and better, stronger and stronger, because families are opening their letters, showing how high their premiums will climb if Republicans get their way.
Vice President J.D. Vance responded on X, writing this: better for Schumer, worse for Americans. What a vile sentiment from an alleged leader in our country, writes the vice president. Joining me now is Tennessee Congressman David Kustoff. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks for being here. The Senate will leave town now today until Tuesday for the Columbus weekend, meaning that the government shutdown will not be resolved this week. Your reaction?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. You know, the House did its job passing this continuing resolution 3 weeks ago today on September the 19th. So the Senate has had ample time to get this done, and they've taken now X number of votes to pass the same continuing resolution that we passed in the House. I look at that clip that you just played from Chuck Schumer, and I think how insensitive he is to so many people's needs, that he views this maybe as a political victory when it's affecting not only government employees, but my constituents who are being denied the services that they anticipate that they're able to receive from the federal government. So Schumer's absolutely tone deaf, and you've got at least 3 Democrats that have tried to do the right thing, but they've got to get in the Senate from 55 to 60 senators.
Yeah. How long do you think this goes on, and when does this become a national security issue?
Well, I think it's a national security issue now, but there's several points, several dates that we need to look at. One, as we know, next week on the 15th, our members of the military, these men and women who put the uniform on to protect us, they're going to go without a paycheck, not because of House Republicans, not because of Senate Republicans, but because of congressional Democrats who won't vote to reopen the government and make sure that these people get paid. You've got other federal employees you've got other federal pay dates that are coming up. I think that becomes real. When Chuck Schumer's staffers don't get a paycheck, let's see how sensitive he is to that. The other date I'd look at is next Saturday, there are going to be a number of Democrat activist rallies around the country. And I think that these Democrat senators want to be able to put their demand their pound of flesh and say they're standing up to Trump and they're fighting. What they're doing is they are placating to their far left activists, and they're disregarding the needs of all their other constituents.
Well, let me switch gears and ask you about this fight, which is getting worse with China. China has been tough to negotiate with on trade, and it is now unveiling sweeping export controls on rare earths and related technologies. In response, it feels like it's in response, the Senate voted last night to add both the Biosecure Act and the Fight China Act to the National Defense Authorization Act. The measures would block federal funding for certain Chinese biotech companies, and it would ban U.S. investments in sensitive Chinese sectors. Last year's version of the Biosecure Act was dropped from the final defense policy bill over concerns about naming specific companies, Congressman. Will it stick this time, do you think? And what's your reaction to what China is doing and the U.S.'s reaction?
Well, one difference now from last year is we've got President Trump, who is willing to stand up for us, willing to stand up to China. Obviously, the United States Senate is taking the same tack. But look, to me, there's so many different folds when you talk about China. Ultimately, where they are is we know that they want to make their move on Taiwan within the next 2 to 3 years, and every move that they make against us to me, is their mark to say to the U.S., don't get involved with Taiwan, don't pledge to protect Taiwan. So all these trade issues, the defense issues, to me, that's ultimately what it comes back to. Now, we know that President Trump is going to be meeting with President Xi shortly within the next several weeks. I've got a lot of faith in President Trump's ability to negotiate with China, but at the same time, we also know that the Chinese need the United States. The Chinese economy is not in particularly good shape. They're reliant on us. So I think that there are deals to be made. But first and foremost, for President Trump, he needs to get done what he's trying to get done with Israel and Hamas over the next several days.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you hear Chuck Schumer talk about, keeping this government shut down over these health care subsidies, it really looks like small potatoes versus what President Trump is doing in terms of instituting peace in the Middle East. It's quite extraordinary. But let me get your take on your district and Memphis in general. Kash Patel told me earlier in the year that Memphis is the homicide capital of the country. And AG Pam Bondi revealed the Memphis Safe Task Force has already arrested 562 people and seized 144 illegal guns since operations started more than 10 days ago. The Attorney General speaking during a cabinet meeting yesterday. Watch this.
Despite the Democrat shutdown of our government, our law enforcement officers are out there working without paychecks, round the clock, to keep and make America safe. Secretary Hegseth and I were recently in Memphis. We had 1,100 law enforcement officers in one room with us. We had ATF, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, Homeland Security, all working together with the Guard. They were so happy to have us there. We've been making arrests left and right. So far, we made 562 arrests and seized 144 illegal guns just in the short time we've been in Memphis.
Congressman, you represent areas around Memphis. What can you tell us?
Well, in fact, I'm in Memphis right now. I represent parts of Memphis. The Memphis Safe Task Force, which was put together by President Trump and the Attorney General, is welcomed by most of the people in this community, Republican, Democrat. We appreciate President Trump focusing on the efforts in Memphis to try to combat crime. I do want to tell you, Memphis is a great city. It has a lot to offer. It's the home of 6 Fortune 1000 companies, the home of Graceland, which is the second most visited residence in the nation, the Civil Rights Museum. But like a lot of cities, a lot of big cities, it's been plagued by violent crime over the last 3-4 years. And the efforts that the president and our Governor Bill Lee have made to step up, Governor Lee says that this is a force multiplier, having the National Guard and all these other federal assets and state assets in Memphis. It's a big deal. And to your point, 562 arrests that have been made by the task force. That's significant.
It sure is. Congressman, thank you. We'll be watching your work. We so appreciate your time. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Maria.